What's up, YouTube? Capital G here, Duel commentary. So we have Pray for the Losers Please 17-18 versus BDR 1679. Looks like he opened up with I believe that's, well, he has Magnagora there. I think he played Caster, and then he made Ophion. He got Infestation, or he got the Pandemic Virus, and it looks like he's just gonna pass turn after setting a couple of cards in his back row. Pray for the Losers Please walls up with 3 cards in the back row plus a monster, and I think, yep, he's going to activate Ophion. Okay, Ophion gets hit with Phoenix Chain. Maybe he's going to use the virus card on it. Maybe not. Okay, so he does. He uses his Pandemic Virus. And maybe Pray for the Losers. Okay, he doesn't have any type of responses on that. Okay, so he gets himself another Pandemic Virus. I know that Pray for the Losers Please plays Karakuri Geargia. There is a very strong chance that this is a Geargia armor set. And, uh-oh, here we go. See, it's getting real. He goes for Kirkion. Kirkion is just massive fucking damage. I imagine he's going to use that effect. I think at this point, well, it depends on how he attacks. If he attacks with Ophion first, he'll do a ton of damage. If not, he's going to run into Geargia armor. Okay, so he attacks with Ophion first. And he runs into Geargia armor like I thought. And here's the question. Geargia Karakuri is a deck that can exceed and synchro. So Ophion isn't quite the be-all, end-all, because it's never too, I mean, it's not unlikely that the deck could just be like, ah, Exciton Knight, you're bored. And then you just be like, ah, fuck, what am I going to do against that? So it looks like everybody's getting it in right now. So Pray for the Losers Please doesn't have a ton of life points left. I think he's going to go for an Exceed. Okay, nope. BD says, hold up, son. Nope, I'm sorry. Pray for the Losers Please does. Okay, so he plays Max C, which, to be honest, kind of might change with what BD does. For starters, I would activate Thunderbird. Yep, that's exactly what I would have did. I'm activating Thunderbird for just because I can, because it's a free 300. It's a free 300. You know what I mean? I'm gonna activate that just because I can. And it looks like BD says I'm gonna take the +1. Okay, Exciton Knight incoming. You see that Pray for the Losers Please. Well, we already knew he had an Accelerator, but then he went for Arsenal. The only card that I can think that he's gonna go for is Exciton Knight. Although I'm not sure if that gets the job done, because BD does have Thunderbird, and Exciton Knight will not kill Thunderbird. All he has to do is just chain it to it, and he can't do any damage. And actually, with only 1 card in hand, I'm not quite sure that Exciton Knight's the best Exceed to even go into, with your opponent already having an over in Thunderbird. Because, alright, let's say that you go into Gear Giant X. I mean, you've already committed your normal summon. Okay, so he goes into Honor Arc, which can kill one of these cards, but it can't kill them both. Okay, never mind, he's not going to. So he's going to attack. He's going to attack Thunderbird. BD says, all right, I'll take it. He takes 150. Maybe he's going to play Dark Hole in main phase too. That's maybe the only thing I can think of. I guess he wanted to attack first. Yeah, okay. He attacked first because he didn't want him to chain Thunderbird. Okay, that makes sense. Although you left Kirkion on field. I don't know if Kirkion's a card you ever want to leave on field. It's like the most dangerous card in the deck, outside of Ophion itself. So I'm not so certain about that. Okay, but he did. So during the standby phase, Pray for the Losers Please activates Vanity's Emptiness. And now that could be a potential problem. That could be a potential problem because BD might not have any response. Now if he has MST, obviously this game's over. And it looks like he doesn't have any ways of... Oh, okay. Maybe he wants to bait his opponent into that, or into attacking, or something like that. Okay, so Kirkion goes down. And he only has Caster on board, and I guess here comes the comeback. BD passes again, and he's kind of losing everything that he has. Now, at any point, Pray for the Losers Please can just turn off his Vanity's Emptiness. He can activate a card or whatever. I mean, he's pretty much cleared the board out. Now, this is a deck where, well, he needed those monsters on board, because if he kills this guy now, granted he'll lose the Vanity's Emptiness, but he will be able to special summon again. And you have to wonder at some point if taking all of those battle traps out of your deck really hurt. Because now you just lose to this monster. You know, Honor Arc just attack, and then it's like, alright, he's going to semi-wall up, although 2 of his cards are known. Okay, so he activates MST on a face-down card, which is Wiretap, which takes away Vanity's Emptiness. And I'd imagine BD is going to try and go, well, as hard as possible. He does have 2 face-downs to worry about. Oh, he has another Kirkion. He doesn't have the Ophion to take, but he still has a ton of monsters in his back row. He activates Kirkion's effect. He still has an Infestation Virus. He's going to banish Thunderbird, and he goes for Caster. Okay, so I guess he's going to target Caster for DD Crow. So I would expect him to go for an Xyz there. Okay, yeah, so Caster gets banished. Yeah, assuming, I mean, it was pretty much shown that he couldn't stop any attacks. Yeah, now, BD probably has Evilswarm monsters in his hand to fucking, like, play around with. So it looks like he's going to go for the Snatch Steal effect. He plays Fiendish Chain. I imagine he's going to use the Virus, which he does. Maybe you should have used Fiendish Chain not on Bahamut, but maybe you should have used Fiendish Chain on Honor Arc. When it hit your opponent's side of the field. Because you knew that this motherfucker was not going to get Fiendish Chain. So he pitches Thunderbird from his hand. I guess that's what it was. He drew a fucking tillion. Evilswarm just drew like a billion Evilswarm monsters, and he was able to consolidate those into a way of actually making some advantage. That was through Bahamut. So good shit for Evilswarm, which is a deck that I don't think it's nearly as playable as what most people think, simply because of one element of the game, and that's the hands. The hands are just, they're too much of a problem. For you, Evilswarm Ophion is an amazing boss monster. I mean, and pretty much he is resistant to Speller Traps because you can get, the Pandemic Virus, and obviously that gives them blanket protection. The problem is monster effects. Monster effects are a bitch. And it used to be where you could just, you could play like, they used to play like Save Zone and shit like that, but now if your opponent attacks an Ice Hand, okay, they can just blow up Save Zone and then he still dies. So that's no good either. The hands in general are just too much of a problem. Now what we can see is against the Geargia matchup, we might see, I could say, some Black Horns. Pretty much Black Horns on both sides, honestly. Black Horns, Dark Hole. Okay, well, Pray for the Losers Please says, fuck it, I'm going straight for Gear Giant X. He activates Arsenal's effect, probably getting armor. He already has Accelerator on board. Nope, sorry. Okay, he gets Geargiano. Okay, yeah, the reason he does that is because if his Gear Giant X gets like Veilored or something like that and then it immediately dies, he wants something in the graveyard to replace it, and Geargiano would summon itself and then it would be able to get like Geargia Accelerator in defense mode if it lived. So you see he goes into Gear Giant X and that gets him an Accelerator in hand. He sets 1. I'm gonna say he's gonna set 3. Sets 1, 2, 3. Yep, and he passes turn. Because you don't want to set everything. Like, you set everything in your hand, and then your opponent knows that all you have is an Accelerator, and it's like, they're liable to just try and go in on you. Now, it's interesting to see what Pray for the Losers was playing as far as hand traps. I mean, he played DD Crow on the main deck. He played Maxi. It looks like BD is going to go straight in for an Xyz. Wonder if Blackhorn is going to be played. It is. He tried to Exoton item, and you see a special summon of Magnagora, and then Heliotrope. I think he's going to go for the same thing. Is anybody going to fall into a bottomless? Okay. I think, assuming that he doesn't have... Okay, well, Pray for the Losers Please is asking him to hold up. He flips over Trap Stun. Ooh. Okay, so I guess now you go for Ophion. Now I don't think... Well, unless your opponent is Book of Moon. Yeah. Okay, he goes for 101. I think I still would have went for Ophion. Yeah, I think I still would have went for Ophion. I think maybe he assumes he's... Well, you know what? I can't say that this is Geargia Karakuri because he could have switched decks, and we haven't technically seen any Karakuri monsters. So now BD decides, okay, well, if you're going to neg 1 yourself and lock yourself out of traps, then guess what? I'm just going to 101 your guy, and you're not going to get any monsters back. So there's that. So technically, Pray for the Losers Please still has advantage. It's slight advantage, you know. Okay, he normal summons Accelerator. He might special summon another one. Alright, so it looks like we might see some 101 wars. Actually, I just make Gear Giant X. Why even go 101? Gear Giant X gets me a free card and it can still attack this guy. So it's like, why even do that? And that's exactly what he did. He attacked for 200. And then he's probably just going to pass to Pray for the Losers Please. Huh. He didn't activate 101's effect. I wonder why not. That's strange. Okay, so he activates Dark Hole. I guess he figured if he was going to play Dark Hole, it didn't matter whether he activated the effect or not. Lil Geargiano comes out, and Thunderbird is going to try and attack Lil Geargiano. And is he successful? Maybe, maybe not. Either way, I don't see Thunderbird dying here. Okay, so he plays Evac. Oh, Pandemic Virus. And Lil Geargiano dies. So now this guy is only 1650, so it's not technically that hard to run over. The question is, after expending so many monsters in the early game, what does Pray for the Losers Please have left? If I was BD and I drew another monster, I'd go for Exiton Knight. That wouldn't even be a question. And he did draw another monster. He drew Rhoda, which is Caster. It's the same thing. Because I don't think that this is a hand monster, which means that I'm just going to assume that it's Geargia armor, even if it isn't. I'm just going to, oh, whoa, let's go back to the duel. Sometimes that happens when I'm recording. I don't know why. But anyways, I would just assume that this is a face-down Geargia armor. And since we knew that your opponent was willing to trap stun this card rather than have it get blown up by Exiton, there's no reason to think that this is a reactive trap. He goes for Abyss Dweller, which I seriously question. Activates the effect. I think he may have lost himself the game here. Oh, wow. I guess he knew better than I did because it's Geargia Accelerator who would have he'd have totally activated if he would have went for Exiton Knight. So wow, that was a really good call by BD. Unfortunately, it didn't quite pay off as MK2 is summoned, and MK2 is going to go into what? MK2 is going to get Geargiano, and then he's going to go into Silver Mountain, and he's going to attack, and then he's going to get Accelerator, or not, or not. He gets Armor. That's interesting. I wonder why he did that. Why didn't he just go into Silver Mountain? Silver Mountain is 18. You could have went in Silver Mountain and attacked. Now you open yourself up to an attack. I mean, he did have Geargiano in there, right? Yeah, he had Geargiano in there. Oh, Geargiano isn't a Geargia monster. I'm dumb. I'm done. Geargiano is not a Geargia monster. Okay, so you can't get Geargiano back. Okay, that's my mistake. You guys are probably like, "How would you idiot? He can't get Geargiano back. It's not a Geargia monster." All right. So, anyways, it looks like Geargia Armor is flip summoned, which gets Geargiano. I think Geargiano. I think he's going to summon MK2, and then I think he's going to go for. I think he's going to get Accelerator back. He's going to try and make his move as safe as possible. That's what I think. Make it safe from, I guess, Torrential Tribute, which it wouldn't technically be because he could just chain Dweller. Wait, so you can get Geargiano? Okay, so then why didn't he go for Geargiano and Silver Mountain before? This makes no sense. Maybe he knows something I didn't. Okay, so he goes into Ghost Trick Alicord. And if that's a bluff, well, it sort of was. It's an MST for mind control. Okay, Accelerator is special summoned. Why did I think that it couldn't get Geargiano? It has Geargia in the name too. I don't know, but it still doesn't make sense why when he summoned MK2, he didn't go for Geargiano and then get Silver Mountain and attack Abyss Dweller, who was 1700 attack, and then he would have been able to, what's it called? He would have been able to put armor in defense mode anyway. Plus, he would have had more beaters on board. So that doesn't make any sense. All right, so BD right now is getting his ass handed to him, and he only has one card to Pray for the Losers Please 4. Plus, he has MK2 in hand, so that's no good. Oh, although there is that Great Equalizer and Soul Charge. Now, obviously, BD is going to have to go for like everything in his graveyard. I would, if he has 5, he's going to go for 5. I think he only has 4 in his graveyard, which are, I mean, one of these guys got Exciton Knighted. Nope, he has 5. All right, so he goes for everybody. I mean, he basically has to make his last stand. I would imagine that if he runs Giant Hand will be one of the cards that he plays. What do you do here? I don't think you can rely on Ophion. I think that, okay, so you can't attack. I don't think you care that much about Alicord. I think maybe you pop this with, maybe you pop this guy with Diamond Direwolf, and then you make what's it called, Giant Hand. But then I don't know, because then if your opponent goes for an Exceed, they can just attack. All right, so he does go Diamond Direwolf to get rid of Geargia armor. I mean, you have to cut the Geargia armor supply off somewhere. Alright, so that dies. He chains Thunderbird's effect, because Thunderbird can technically attack over Alicord. And if you go for Giant Hand in defense mode, at the very least your opponent does have to exceed to go over it. And even if it, I mean, you could still just negate its effect. Well, no. I think its negation wears off when it dies. So your opponent could still make, like, they could still use Gear Giant X in like main phase 2. But at least you'd be able to stop Mortal Kombat 2 from being summoned. So he goes into Ophion. Well, at that point, I think he's going to get Infestation Infection, yeah. Because you can use that with Thunderbird to get Kirkion, assuming you live. Yeah, that's a heavy assumption on that you live throughout this turn. Maybe he's looking for a best case scenario. So I don't really think there's a point of Alicord trying to pop, because he knows he'll chain it, he'll pay the cost. Oh, that was a bad beat. That was a really, really bad beat. So Ophion dies. And in main phase 2, okay, BD just says whatever. Ophion dies to a fucking strategist. He dies to a Karakuri strategist. I guess he is playing Karakuri. He hasn't drawn them yet. So it looks like Thunderbird's going to get tagged out. What's he going into? Kirkion seems like the obvious choice. Problem is, you do open yourself up for Bottomless. Okay, and I guess Pray for the Losers Please scooped it up. I guess he saw that his back row must have been like a bluff or something, and that he had Kirkion, and I guess he figured he couldn't come back or something like that. With all his cards in hand, I'm kind of surprised that a simple Kirkion was going to crack him, but regardless, I guess it is what it is. Evilswarm wins 2-0 over Geargia Karakuri, which I definitely did not predict. Thank you guys for watching, as always.